On page 115, we have a graph that shows Oklahoma earthquakes magnitude 3.0 or greater. And what we see in this graph is that there has been a lot of change in the numbers of earthquakes. So if you look in the earlier years, between 2000 and 2007, there were relatively few earthquakes, 0 or 3 or 2 or 1 per year. And then all of a sudden in 2009 and forward, there have been a lot more earthquakes. So we need to talk about these changes in the numbers of earthquakes using math. And by the way, the factor that is causing these earthquakes to increase, I believe, is fracking. So it's not a climate change related thing directly, but because there has been fracking to retrieve natural gas from the earth, it's sort of destabilized the geology and caused more earthquakes. So what was the change in the number of earthquakes from 2009 to 2010? When we want to know the change, we're simply going to subtract. So to get the change here, we can take the bigger number minus the smaller number, or maybe more accurately, I should say the later minus the earlier. So 43 minus 20 would be 23 more earthquakes in 2010. So we subtract to get the change. And then if we look at 2014 to 2015, well, these are way taller, but we can still subtract. So 887 minus 585 to get the change there. And again, it's still an increase. So there were 302 more earthquakes in 2015 than in 2014. So this increase here was just 23 more earthquakes, and from here to here we had over 300 more earthquakes. So obviously the change in part B was much bigger. But when we find the percent change, we'll get slightly different perspective on this. So compare the amount of change from 2009 to 2010. Compare that amount of change to the starting value. So the amount of change was 23 more earthquakes, but the starting value was 20 earthquakes. So when we do that division to get the percent increase, we find that there's a 115% increase. When something increases by 100%, it actually doubles. So what I'm saying is that this more than doubled. Do you agree? To go from 20 to 43, the number of earthquakes more than doubled. So there's more than a 100% increase. When we look at the answer from problem B and we compare to the 2014 amount, we say the amount of change was 302 and the starting value was 585. When we do that division, we just get 0.516, or about a 52% increase. So even though that was a really dramatic increase in the number of earthquakes, it didn't double like it did in the previous one. There was only a 52% increase in the number of earthquakes. So from here to here, more than doubled. From here to here, it did not double. So in the percentage change, this is not as big of a change as this.